Welcome to another episode of Curtain Call Conversations. I'm here today with Tom Claxton, who will soon be restarring in A Manchester Anthem, which is going to be at the Hope Mill Theatre in Manchester from the 29th of July before a run in London at Riverside Studios. How are you today?
Yes, I'm very good, thank you. Yeah, very good. How are you?
Good. Yeah, really well. Thank you. I mean, I just said
Good.
before we started recording then, it's the first time I've ever interviewed somebody
Yeah,
out in the wild, but it's such a lovely backdrop. So thanks for
yeah.
that.
It's all very scenic. I'm sort of like
Yeah.
caught between two places, so I found
Yeah.
myself a nice little corner to
Yeah,
zoom from.
no, absolutely. It's brightened up the landscape. So let's have a
Good.
chat about A Manchester Anthem then. So you've been involved with the show before. You've been to Edinburgh Fringe and the Vault Festival with this show. So tell us all
Yes.
about it and who you play.
Yeah. So it is an hour-long solo show. It follows the character of Tommy, who is a young working class lad from Manchester. He's attending private school on a scholarship at the minute, and he's just been accepted into Oxford University. So the whole show takes place in the last 24 hours at home, before he leaves the city that he loves and goes away. So it follows his last day at work, his last like time at the pub with his mates, and it all goes a bit awry when he stops off at a house party of some of the other Oxford grads, and he sort of confronts a lot of people from his past and his family life and all the sort of like trauma of his upbringing. So it's great, but it's very funny, very physical. There's dance numbers. There's a lot of stuff about your mum in there, so it's got everything, everything you could want.
Yeah, absolutely. And you said it's a one-man show. So how do you cope with sort of keeping the energy just on your own for that whole show?
Like Nick's script is so brilliant because it's so high energy and fast paced, and it is very much one of those where like once the show starts it feels like a handbrake is pushed down and there's sort of
Yeah.
no stopping. There's like one moment about halfway through the show where I can have a bit of a sip of water, which I always slightly look forward to, but other than that it is just all go.
Yeah, I mean, what's it going to be like bringing sort of a Manchester story to the Hope Mill Theatre in Manchester? You excited about that?
I can't wait. I can't wait.
Yeah.
Since we started making this show, we've talked about doing it in Manchester for ages, and I think it'll
Yeah.
be really special. Especially like spent so much time in the Hope Mill growing up that, and I've
Mm.
never performed there. Haven't been back there in ages, so I'm very excited to go back there. I think it's going to feel really special, and also just to see how like northern crowds react to it, because I think the
Mm.
idea of sort of leaving Manchester, especially to go down south to like Oxford or London or anywhere like that, is so relatable to a lot of northern people. It's something that I've definitely had an experience, and the sort of feeling of like leaving everything that you sort of know to be true behind and moving somewhere else is such a big step in a lot of people's lives. So hopefully it resonates quite a lot.
Sure, absolutely. And then a run at the Riverside Studios in London, which you must be really excited about, starting from the 19th of August. I mean, is that a venue that you've been to or performed at before?
It's gorgeous. Never performed there. I've
Yeah.
seen a few bits there, but it's such a beautiful space and really up and coming as well because it sort of
Mm.
wasn't really around a few years ago. But the theatre spaces there are brilliant, and it's also got a lovely cinema in. It's got a very lovely cinema
Oh,
in, which I
yeah.
recommend going to as well.
Yeah, in your spare time, you can pop and watch a
Yeah,
film. It's very
yeah, exactly.
exciting.
Yeah, if you have any spare time.
Yeah, well, exactly. Yes, you probably won't. But
Yeah.
so sort of going back to sort of the first time that you performed the show, I mean, how was the pressure for you as a performer being the only person delivering a show? I mean, how did you feel when you first got the script, and how did you think, how your character would be?
Yeah, I think when I first got the script, I hadn't put two and two together that I'd be performing it. So reading it, I was like, this is brilliant. This is so much fun to read. And you sort of do the voices of all the characters in your head. But then the first time when it comes to rehearsing it, you realize how difficult it is. It's definitely the hardest thing I've ever had to do.
Mm.
Probably will be. Especially if you like the scenes where there's like five characters in a room together. Most of them are talking to each other and across each other and to Tommy, and your Tommy as a narrator and Tommy in the scene. So it is a workout, but it's so much fun and so rewarding to do. And the sharpness and getting the sharpness down, it's sort of like it feels like a dance as much as it
Yeah,
does a
yeah.
theatre show. It is a proper workout.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you play something like, I don't know whether I read this somewhere, I've made it up. Is there like 12 different characters in this particular show that you play? Were you still there?
I think in total it's 13 characters
Oh,
altogether. So it's quite a lot. And we spent a lot of time trying to make them all different and trying to make them all stand out and have their own personalities and make them really clear. And I think there's a lot of characters there which will you can definitely look at each character and be like, I know them from my life. That's that person, that's that person. So
yeah.
they're so heightened and you see everything through Tommy's point of view as well. So it means you can have a lot of fun with them and take the mick of it.
Yeah. I mean, how do you go about sort of your line learning? I'm really always interested in this because I've got a terrible memory. So, like having to learn dialogue
Yes.
and it's just you. I mean, you've got nobody to bounce off, nobody to
Yes.
feed you a line, perhaps. I mean, how do you deal with that of learning your lines?
I'm normally quite bad at learning my lines, so I struggled. I really struggled. I had to do like a little bit, a little chunk a
Yeah.
day. I think it helps because the story is so linear and it has such a lovely journey to it. It was
Mm.
nice to just learn bit at a time as I went along. But one of the main things that people say when after watching the show is like, I don't know how you've remembered all of that. And to be honest,
Yeah.
I don't. I really don't. Even going back over the lines now I've had to sort of just like relearn everything again, which is always a task in itself.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I mean, have you ever, I mean, it's horrible to say, but have you ever sort of dried up on stage and just lost your way?
I have done before, but thankfully never with this.
Oh,
I
good.
think I've learned it so rigorously because,
Yeah.
like you say, if you drop a line, no one to
Yeah.
keep you going. But as well, the nice side is that if you do forget, you're not letting anyone else down on stage with you, so you can sort of muddle your way through it
Yeah.
and find your way back again.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's sort of what are the nerves like? I mean, you've done this show, as we've said before. So, how are the nerves going to be sort of bringing it back, especially to Manchester? I mean, do you still get that sort of nervous
Yes.
feeling?
The nerves never go away. The nerves never go away.
Yeah.
And I remember the first time that we did the show, I don't think I've been as nervous about doing anything ever as I was doing that show. And it never leaves. We did the whole month at the Fringe, and even during the like last week of it, having done the show every day for about 30 days, it still never went away. Because I
Yeah.
think it is, but once the show starts, it's okay. But I
Mm.
think the 5 minutes beforehand,
Yeah.
I just need to like in my head just keep running the first little bit of it to make sure that I know how it starts weirdly.
Yeah.
So that's
Well, yeah.
become my like pre-show rituals, just like know that as long as I can start it, then
Yeah.
hopefully everything else should sort of fall into place.
Yeah. I mean, do you have a specific sort of part of the show that you like enjoyed performing the most? Is there a certain character apart from Tommy that you enjoy playing?
There's a character called Angus in it who is sort of I guess Tommy's antagonist in a way you could sort of say, who's very fun to perform, and it's sort of like the mirror image of him. It's like
Yeah.
just Tommy, but if he'd have come from a slightly better background and had more confidence, and I think there's a lot he hates about Angus, but also admires. So to have conversations between the two of them is really fun.
Yeah.
Um, and in terms of bits of the show, other than the ability to have a drink of water, which is always really appreciated. There's a bit where he goes like out to the club to in the second half of it, and there's big sort of fun dance numbers and lots of sort of
Okay.
quite heightened character stuff, which is always a lot of fun to do. And
Yeah.
especially if the audience is really engaged and involved with it as well, that's really fun to do.
Yeah, absolutely. So, sort of where did performing come with you? Was it at an early age? Did you do sort of the drama school thing when you were young, or is it a thing you've picked up?
I
Or...
it's funny because when I was in high school, which is also something that we talked about quite a lot in the making of this show. Like when I was in high school, I didn't know what a drama school was. I didn't know that was an avenue you could go down. I had knew a couple of people who had done NYT, National Youth Theatre.
Mhm.
But again, it was something so alien to me.
Mm,
And then I went to uni in Leeds, did history in Leeds,
okay.
and loved like drama at GCSE and A level, and I knew that I wanted to do some drama stuff when I went to university. So I threw myself into sort of theatre society things. But it wasn't until my second year of university that I did a production of A Clockwork Orange and
Okay.
played Alex in A Clockwork Orange, and it was by far the biggest thing that I'd ever done to that point. And I played Alex in it, and it was like almost sort of like a 2.5 hour show, and I never left the stage the whole time. And we had like a huge ensemble as part of it. But I remember finishing that show for the first time and thinking like, oh, this like no, this is it.
Yeah.
This is what I want to do. This is so special. But
Mm.
again, like going to drama school was something that the only people who went were people who had come from a pretty well-off background and was an incredibly good actor. So I was like, this is never something that I would be able to do.
Yeah.
And it's just like, right, I'm going to audition for drama schools. I'm going to give it a go, see what happens. I was lucky enough to get into Lander, and then was like, okay, great. Well, how do I afford to do this? I haven't really
Yeah.
thought this through fully. And so I had to massively like crowdfund and everything to do that after university. And now love it. I absolutely adore it. But yeah, it was never something which came to me early on. I quite liked it in school, but the
Mm.
idea of actually doing it seemed so mental, which is something we talk about in the play as well. Like Tommy's the
Okay.
first one of his like family and friends who goes to university. That was the same for me. So there's
Mm.
quite a lot of overlap in terms of like the feeling of not really fitting in or being allowed to or being given permission to do things which seem a bit outside of your sort of social circle or
Mm.
bracket, I suppose.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you're doing this sort of show in really quite intimate, small venues, and just
Yes.
reading some of the jobs that you've done before. You've performed in Regent's Park Open Air Theatre for one, which
Yes.
is
Yeah.
obviously vast. You know, it's a vast theatre, so
Yes. It's probably the least
beautiful.
intimate space we can
Yeah,
get.
well,
Yeah.
exactly. I mean, do you have a preference as to where you like to perform?
I honestly think it depends on the show because the sort of charm of Manchester Anthem is the fact that you can see everyone the whole time and they
Mm,
are just in the room with you, and it's such like a conversation between Tommy and the audience, and
yeah,
we always made it at the forefront of the rehearsal room who the audience are to Tommy, like when does he need them, when does he feel like he needs to push them away, and what that balance is. But
yeah,
then at the same time, like doing Romeo and Juliet at Regent's Park was so
yeah,
extraordinary. And like you say, it's just the most beautiful
yeah, it
place in the
is.
world. But that's like being in an amphitheater and
Yeah,
everything is so
yeah,
massive and
exactly.
huge.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It just really depends project to project. I think I'm more like less depends on the room and more what the play is and what the script is,
Right.
and if there's like something for me that I find really interesting and exciting. Like Manchester Anthem is a story so close to my own heart that I just like adore coming back to it every time, and it always feels really special and always feels really new as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I will put on the next slide where people can get their tickets, but as I've said, Hope Mill Theatre is your first port of call end of this month.
Yes.
Are you completely ready for it? Are you in the zone with it? Are you...
um sort of. I think it's one of those where it's impossible to be ready
Mm,
until you do it in front of an audience
yeah,
again.
yeah.
There's only so much you can rehearse it without people there, because at the minute
Mm,
it's very much like sort of talking into the void and
yeah,
pretending like there's people there and pretending like they're looking at you. So I
yeah.
think it will only feel real again once we've done it for the first time with an audience, which will be incredibly nerve-wracking, but I'm very excited to do it
Yes,
again.
it will be very exciting. So, just the last question. Well, it's not more of a question, it's more of a, let me tell, you can tell the people why they should come
Yes.
and see a Manchester anthem.
Yeah, I think there's just like something for everyone in it. I think it's fundamentally a coming of age story.
Mm,
Um, but it resonates with whatever age you are. If you've like left home or gone away or come back or stayed at home, it's really fun. It's really fast paced. The soundtrack is great. The design of it is brilliant. It's a really fun time. It'll make you want to have a big night out, and it will also make you want to call your mum, I think, as well, which is always
ah,
really nice.
that's so lovely. As I said, I'll put the details on the next slide where people can come and see you. But wishing you all the best, and thank you so much for having a
Thank you very
chat
much.
today.
Thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. Take care.
Cheers.
Bye bye.